There's an issue in the West Bank that we want to talk about here. It turns out that there's been these people that have been, basically shepherds in southern Hebron hills for as long as anybody can remember. In fact, let me quote The Guardian here. The villagers in that area, supported by the evidence of Israeli archaeologists and human rights groups, say their families have farmed in the area since the late 1800s, certainly long before Israel occupied the West Bank in 1967. And so these guys literally used to live in caves, sometimes in the side of the mountains, etc. Apparently those collapsed, most of them did in the late 1990s. But they live a shepherding lifestyle. I mean, this is old school, biblical, it's literally as old school as it gets. And they've been there for, as you can tell, forever. So Israel decided, hey, you know what, we're going to kick them out of there. And we're going to do that because we're going to do military training in that area. And the Israeli Ministry of Defense just rejected an appeal to save 8 West Bank Palestinian villages in that area. And now there's
1,500 people.
1,500 people. Now those villages are slated for demolition, and they're going to be used for Israeli Defense Forces training ground. Now, this is what builds resentment and anger. And to be fair to Israel, which is a multicultural, country, multi-opinion, etc. So parts of it, you worry that it is not as democratic as it should be in the treatment of Israeli Arabs, but other parts of it are very democratic in that there is a wide variety of opinion. And Israeli human rights groups are saying, hey, don't do this. It's not legal. It's not necessary. If you need to seize land, you have to have an excellent reason that is critical to our security needs to do so. This is obviously not critical. You'd like some training land, okay, and you're going to go ahead and grab it and drive these people out that have been there for centuries, right? And so then the Israeli Defense Forces has this comical response. Well, we're not driving them out entirely. Quote, they would be allowed to return to tend their land and graze sheep at weekends, Jewish holidays, and 2 one-month stints every year when soldiers do not train.
Yeah, look, I don't know a lot about the herding of sheep and goats. Right. Or the whole shepherding lifestyle, which I'm not really down with. But I'm going to guess that the IDF training the other 10 months a year might sort of ruin the whole shepherding process.
Yeah, I don't think that you can just shepherd on the weekends.
Yeah, I don't think it's a full-time job, shepherding.
Yeah. So, and they're demolishing the 8 villages. So it's not like, hey, every once in a while we bring you back, guys, don't worry.
Yeah, and
no, but where are you even going to come back from? God knows where they're going to live now, right? So they're literally being driven out. So but look, so it's a small story in that it is not an enormous land grab, but it's very symbolic and in and of itself is grossly unjust.
I mean, and if you do it, you got to pay the living crap out of these people.
That's not the sense I'm getting, right? It's not like, hey, here's a condo in Tel Aviv. Go nuts, right?
Yeah, let me read you the second to last paragraph here. In her case to the High Court, Haila Gourani, the state's attorney, so representing Israel, wrote that the Second Intifada and the Second Lebanon War exposed gaps in IDF preparation that requires more extensive training in firing zones, right? So that's why they want it. More extensive training in firing zones, which the illegal Hebron residents are preventing. They're there illegally, by the way.
Yeah. When did it become illegal? In 1894?
And they have some reason why it's illegal, but I got it. I mean,
they just declared it illegal.
You're building settlement after settlement after settlement in the West Bank. And you're like, these guys, these shepherds, illegal. Squatters. So, okay, so her point is they need expensive training in firing zones, which the illegal Hebron residents are preventing. She also suggested that if the current residents were allowed to remain, so they stay while the training goes on, they would gather intelligence on IDF methods or collect any weapons and equipments the soldiers might leave behind to use in terrorist activities. Don't leave your tanks behind, okay? I'm just going to say, I don't know who's training you guys. I'm not a shepherd, and I'm not a military expert, but when you leave, take your rifle. So that's point one. The second point is they're like that these guys so essentially they'll be spies. Well, then you're not going to let them come on weekends either. I mean, it's just the whole thing is ridiculous. No, they can come during that 1 month they're not there. Yeah, then they'll spy then. Like you're kicking them out. So that's what it is.
For the third time, you're demolishing the villages. There's no coming back. It's a farce, right? So you got to sit there and absorb this from a Palestinian and from an Arab point of view, because if it happened to you, you would be so outraged. I mean, if they came to your town, whether it's Connecticut or whether it's Munich or wherever it might be, and they said, hey, you know what, this town you've been living in, your family's been living in for hundreds of years. Done. I'm taking it over. Whoever they is that's destroying your town and taking it over, come on, what would you do? You would hate them.
Yeah, you'd hate them. You'd hate them forever. Now, don't you wish that there were a degree of reasonableness? Just let's move past it. Israel, they shouldn't do it. But don't you wish that at some point someone there would be like, so we don't have to be shepherds anymore?
I don't think like
secretly,
I'm amused by it.
They'd be like, no, let's get really mad. Let's get really mad. But on the plus side,
we can move on to other professions that where we don't have to live in caves.
Shepherding, they sell goats and sheep. Like, it can't be lucrative. It just can't be.
Did you see the picture in the story?
Yeah, not lucrative.
Not lucrative. Yeah. Okay. No, but look, putting the kidding aside, this is why you get the situations like we showed you earlier in the week with the Egyptian guy, all of them, like on that Egyptian television show, when they find out they're on an Israeli channel, they lose it because it's considered the greatest, act of treason, etc., to even be on an Israeli channel, to work with Israelis in any way, shape, or form. The well on both sides is so poisoned, and it's hard to not become despondent over. I gotta be honest with you. I'll pull a Thomas Friedman here. I talked to a cabbie in San Francisco last week. Happened to be Palestinian. I say salam alaikum. He understands I'm Muslim, so we have an honest conversation. Okay, He's like, no deal, no deal, no deal. Okay, we tried with Arafat, and then they spit in our face. Whatever, their interpretation, right? And he's like, I don't trust them. I don't trust the Americans. I don't trust them in any way, shape. Anybody makes that deal, I don't trust them. No deal. And I'm like, so what the fuck are you going to do?
What's your end game?
Yeah, what's your end game? There is no end game. The end game is hate. Okay? But so then you get mad at that guy. I mean, like, I didn't yell at him or anything like that. I wanted to collect information. It wasn't an argument. But internally.
Stiff him on the tip?
No, I didn't. but then I didn't stiff the guy who had the swastika tattoo was my mover. You remember that?
Yeah, totally.
I was like, but I was scared though. I was like, okay, no, good. Here's a good tip. Just please leave immediately. Okay, after you move the couch. Anyway, I was angry at him being unreasonable. But why is he unreasonable? Because of stuff like this that's been happening for 60 years. That then he thinks these guys are going to give me a good deal. The guys who tell me, oh, you can come on the weekends after we take your land, they're not going to give me a good deal. The well is poison.